No, guys, the video isn't loading nor rendering. I'm showing you this black background intentionally. You see, the reason why I did this is because I want to put your guys' mind at ease, so that you can better think about what I'm about to say to you. Now, what I'm going to say is I'm going to say 3 names, okay? And I want you to think of these 3 names. Luke Skywalker, Yoda, and Darth Vader. Do you know who they are? And if so, do they look like this? These characters are often well remembered and loved by many people, all 3 of them coincidentally being from the famous franchise Star Wars. Now, I'm gonna say another name to you, another character from Star Wars, and I want you to think of this guy. Yavil Poof. What image does that put on your head? Who do you think, would I come across with a Star Wars character by the name of Yavil Poof? Is he a cloud guy? Is he a Sith Lord? Is he a stormtrooper? Nope. Gave up? Okay. He's this guy. You know, Yavil Poof, the guy with a very long neck who sits in the Jedi Council in everybody's favourite film, The Phantom Menace. Nope. Still doesn't ring a bell to you? Oh, well, okay, fair point. He only appeared with a background. And if you do somehow know him, either you're a really huge Star Wars fan, or you've just watched that Robot's Chicken short. And to further reinforce this point, I'm going to be calling my friend Star5321 to see whether he knows about Yavil Poof.
How are you?
Hello Star5321. Hello. Do you know about our Lord and Saviour, the amazing Jedi Lord Yavil Poof?
No, I don't. Can't say I've heard of him.
Don't you know the guy with the long neck? Don't you know him?
I know many people with long necks, including giraffes. I went to the Serengeti last year and hunted giraffes.
And I think he knows Yavil Poof, guys. There are many franchises to delve to, and as a result many characters to explore, either from your TV screen, or from playing video games, or from reading a book. However, because there's so much content in the world now, not all of them are going to be recognized, and some will be just completely forgotten. And these are the state that these characters are in. So today, I'm going to be talking about some forgotten characters from some of my favorite franchises. Now, this is a very similar video to my underrated characters list, which I made at the start of 2022. This video in particular delves through into some forgotten characters that not much people remember, and I must admit, I actually kept forgetting about these characters while recording for this video, so yeah. Another difference I should mention between the underrated video and this video now is that instead of going through no particular order, I'll be going through these characters. From the first one I'm gonna be talking about, the one which I kind of least care about, to a character which I find a bit more memorable in my eyes. And last but not least, this is of course my personal opinion. In fact, you may even like some of those characters, and that is absolutely okay. I just wanted to share my experience with characters which I just find a bit forgettable in my eyes. Anyway, with that, let's get straight on to the video. Remember what I said about Just Dance in that video I made about the franchise as a whole? I mean, personally, I've just fallen out of touch with it. I'm no longer interested in what the series has become. That statement is no longer true, because, and to my surprise, the newest Just Dance game was actually quite amazing. I think the art style and the general new direction of the game is what really made me interested in the series again. And most of the choreographies are very good. It's not a perfect track list, but It's definitely up there. And thanks to the Enter the Dance versus Story mode, Ubisoft is finally treating the Just Dance coaches as characters, which is just such a dream come true to me.
Rayman Legends is still better though!
I won't go into too much detail as to why I adore this new Just Dance game, because that's of course not what the topic of this video is about, but right now all I can say is that I perfectly agree with everyone else that Just Dance is still a good franchise. Never mind. And now, because of the story mode, I have an excuse to add a Just Dance coach onto this list. You're welcome. Naturally, being my favorite part of Just Dance, I first thought about mashups when trying to think about a coach which has been forgotten by memory. And then I thought about the first Just Dance games and what coaches don't appear in both mashups and Party Master modes. And the results are, well, these lots. In fact, the one on the top right, yep, that one. Not only is Groovin the Heart notable for not appearing in Party Master modes or mashups, but also for not having any remakes in the Just Dance Now files. That seems to be a recipe of disaster, being only included in the first game and not having another remake because you're forgotten by the developers. But the thing is that I remember this. No! What are you doing? You are so close to being forgotten! So, yeah, it was because of that one weird move that I remember this one, if only just slightly. And also then here's the other factor. Because Just Dance is like a music-based game, as a result, you may get like a certain song from one of the games stuck in your head, or you may like the routine of one dance, but just not really like the song. So, with that in mind, how does these other 5 choreographies hold up in terms of memorability? Well, technically, Womanizer's the first Britney Spears song to be in Just Dance, and that in itself is a bit too memorable. I heard girls just want to have fun way too many times on the radio to not remember the song. Lump is one of my favourite choreographies in the first Just Dance game, so forgetting this one is practically impossible for me. Surfing Bird has such an awfully repetitive choreography that I just can't bring myself to hate it, nor let alone forget about it. I remember this one for just having such a sudden ending. So yeah, as it turns out, I actually remembered most of these choreographies. Yeah, my memory's a bit too good. But then I took a look at the menu, and I noticed that there was a warm-up section. Now what's in that warm-up section? Well, I might as well just show you. Yeah, you know what? This routine's kind of boring, so let's just move on. From here on out, it's going to be a lot more easier determining whether a character is forgotten or not, because the next 4 characters on my list actually have character of some sort. Compare that with a random Just Dance coach whose sole purpose is just to dance to a song that he may or may not like. So, let's discuss a random TV show I just happen to like, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I have not watched the final season yet, but it's one of my favorite shows of all time, combining wacky and fast-paced comedy with relatable and sweet character moments. Quite a bit of a juxtaposition to that other police show that I like. And even though it's a comedy, I really love how all the main 7 characters change and develop throughout the course of the series. But did you know there are supposed to be 10 main characters? And who was that 10th main character, you may ask? Well then, meet Daniels, the lost Brooklyn Nine-Nine character. And now behold, the only time where she's ever mentioned on the show.
Well, Scully, Hitchcock, and Daniels, they're pretty much worthless, but they make good coffee. Copy that. Now the good ones.
It was clearly intended that Daniels was supposed to be set up as another comic relief character like Hitchcock and Scully. But after the show was picked up, Daniels just kinda disappeared. The worst part about all of this is that we don't even know why she just suddenly disappeared from the series. Dan Knorr, who created the series, was aware about this, and he claimed that she was going to return in Season 6. However, that was not to be. However, I have made an assumption as to why Daniels may have been axed from the series. You may have heard of the saying, it's never good to put all your eggs in one basket. and I think that's the main problem here. As stated before, there are 9 main characters in the Brooklyn Nine-Nine franchise, and let me tell you, writing for a show is definitely no easy task. Redrafts and rewrites constantly have to be made, and since you mainly have to focus on writing those 9 characters, having a 10th one may be a bit too much. Once again, it's just a theory, as it still hasn't been outright confirmed why Daniels hasn't appeared in the rest of the series. And although I find Scully and Hedgehog really hilarious, they only had a few episodes where they were the main focus, so whether Daniels did appear or not, I really don't think she would have made a huge impact. Right, time to mention another show which I've never mentioned on this channel, Archer. And that means if you're under the age of 15, then do yourself a favor and skip to the next segment of this video. If we just pretend that those 3 non-canon seasons didn't exist, then Archer's one of the few adult animated series that didn't have some sort of gratuitous decline in quality. But despite the series' longevity, some characters never even made it out season 1. And I gotta be honest, the only reason why I placed them at the middle of the list is simply because I do not like them.
Why are you so immature?
So, Manfred and Uta are both contract killers, doing a job when the pay is right. Oddly enough, these guys appear in 2 episodes of the first season of Archer, the former of which when they killed UN Intelligence Committee Chairman Torvald Utny, and the latter of which where they implant a chip in Archer's brain, which is absolutely disgusting, but that's about the only memorable thing they probably ever did in my eyes. And then, poof, they were never seen again. I didn't really necessarily find them a charismatic duo, I just thought that they served their purpose in both episodes, and I'm pretty content with not really seeing them for the rest of the series. If they do return, I'll be probably a bit surprised, but even then, after Manfred and Uta, there were way more cooler Archer villains. I mean, there was Mr. Rompers, Fabian Kingsworth, the Peregrine, Conway Stern, and Bionic Barry Dillon, baby! Heck, even the robot ostrich thing from Archer 1999 was much cooler than Manfred and Uta. I think my best explanation as to why we may have never seen Manfred and Uta ever again is really because we've just seen a lot more cooler villains. I mean, if you were to pick between a hitman duo and a cyborg who's out for revenge, it's most likely you're gonna pick the cyborg. So yeah, I don't really like Manfred and Uta, though I must admit, I did find this scene quite funny.
The first, we make a big phony attempt to kill Torvald Utny.
Okay, and the second?
We kill Torvald Utny.
Bionicle is one of the most famous LEGO themes that doesn't even use the classic LEGO brick system. Bionicle Generation 1 in particular spanned for a decade, which allowed us to slowly get more connected to the Matoran universe as the mythology continued on. My favourite year in Bionicle easily has to be 2006 for me. The introduction of the Anika build allowed the figures to have much more posability. So now my Bionicles can either look menacing and pose in an epic manner, or they could just look like this. Some of the major Matoran characters, like Hardy and Jalla, got an upgrade and became Toa Anika, the Paraka, thieving Skakdi creatures who want power all to themselves, and even will fight even against each other to get it. 2006 also brought a whole lot to the franchise, like for instance the Order of Matanui, as well as this guy, who is a pro roller skater by day, landing more triple axles than Tonya Harding. Honestly, due to Bionicle's large cast, some characters never even got their dues, but I chose Umbra because not only does he look absolutely ridiculous, but he's also pretty forgettable at the same time. The guy's design looks pretty cool, while managing to be awkward at the same time. Umbra seems to be the jack of all trades at first, having 2 light-up swords that were carried over from the Anika sets from the same year, as well as having a Batuka spinner that he can shoot out from his sword, which was carried over from the 2005 line. Unfortunately, because the weapon is connected together, like if it's one huge rod, as a result it affects the character's posability, since his arms are locked into one place. And his really stupid roller skater legs doesn't help stability either. His color scheme is also not the most pleasing either, having an odd mix of silver, black, orange, and dark green, and yet somehow I still think it looks pretty badass, and I do not know why. And to add the icing to that cake, he doesn't even have an exclusive mask piece. It was already previously used in Towa Nua's set in 2004, and it's also the mask of My Hero Factory self-mock. But, oh dearie me, it gets even more awkward. In terms of what our skater boy did to contribute to the lore of Bionicle, Umbra was stationed in Voyanui to guard the Kanori Ignika, aka the Mask of Life. He then overwhelms the Toa Ignika with his supersonic speed! Umbra then hits a mirror, ricochets around the building, and then dies. Clap for Umbra. Such a spectacular performance. Guys, Umbra, guys, ladies and gentlemen, Umbra, he's so amazing, guys. Fun fact, I was originally going to include Whiplash from Ninjago on this countdown. However, Whiplash has a very awesome design, and is definitely not as good. Legacy redesign will later become the generic model of skeletons in the Ninjago franchise. And sure, while his only major appearances stem from 2 mini-movies from 2011, Umbra appears in about 6 panels in one comic, just to be defeated easily.
Not so strong without the 3 amigos backing you up, are you?
And finally, time for the content that you guys signed up for. And I know what you guys may be thinking, but Sunburn is not going to be on the list. Sunburn over the years gained quite a reputation for being the only Spyro's Adventure character to never get a repost. And honestly, if anything, I feel that just makes him even more memorable. And don't even get me started with the amount of memes this Skylander has. Okay, time for the actual segments to begin. I love robot characters. For whatever reason, in any piece of fictional media, I always loved robots. I don't exactly know why, but ever since I was very young, I always just found robots generally cool. I think it's because when designing a robot character, anything could literally be possible. And as a result, many robot characters come in different shapes and sizes. Some robot characters are just straight up badass like Ironhide. Some are just threatening and just straight up disturbing like the Fabrication Machine. Some are adorably charming like Drill Sergeant, and so on and so on. Sometimes for me, robots are the only interesting thing about a piece of media. I remember one time when I was 7 or 8, my sister forced me to watch Barbie. Now, I'm not too huge on Barbie because naturally I'm just not the target demographic for this franchise, but damn, I just love Closet's voice so much.
You've left me with no choice.
There are some robot characters which I just don't like at all. But most of the time, I just really love robots. Now let's talk about Skylanders NPCs. Most of you guys are most likely more familiar with characters like Flynn and Callie. But in the first Skylanders game where you have to find the 8 elemental cores, there is an NPC representing each element. For example, Flynn was in the air element, Gogolfin was in the water element, and T-Bone was in the undead element. But the most interesting out of all these NPCs, for me personally, was General Robot. During the events of the first game, he was the Mabu Defense Force leader, formulating battle tactics against the Troll army. That's about it when it comes to General Robot's character, but once again, I just really like General Robot for whatever reason. From Trap Team onwards, we see Buzz taking control of the Mabu Defense Force. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Buzz just as much as the next guy, but Buzz just doesn't have a really cool monotone voice that General Robot has.
An impressive gear. I wouldn't mind upgrading my own equipment with one of those. What kind of grease does this thing take?
Per Spyro's Adventure, most of the NPCs got delegated into cameo roles, either being tasked to introduce an elemental gate or being part of another game mode. Unfortunately, all General Robot has ever appeared in since Spyro's Adventure was a heroic quest, and I don't really play much heroic quests really. And while making this video, I found this picture of General Robot from Skylanders Islands, and I don't remember seeing General Robot at all in Skylanders Islands whatsoever. I think he must have been removed to replace him with current NPCs from the current games at the time. I just really wish Activision could do more with his character. For instance, it would have been a lot more awesome if General Robot led the Mabu Defense Force alongside Buzz in Operation Troll Rocket Steel and Trap Team. It would have been so intriguing seeing how General Robot's method of leadership juxtaposes with Buzz's. His admittedly very boxy design, and the fact that he only had one major role in the first game of the franchise, really makes me heartbroken that I often forget this guy, as I felt he was easily one of the most unique NPCs in Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. Unfortunately, this wraps up the end of this video. Now, naturally everybody's mind works in different ways. Some characters we may find memorable, others find very forgettable. And I'm just wondering, what are characters that you find very forgettable? I'm open to any opinions. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.